Mr. Edit Man presents. What's the stupidest thing a teacher has tried to tell your child? Teacher once argued with me about how to pronounce my own damn name. I got in a large argument in 7th grade because my teacher wrote a test with a question being, how many weeks are in a year ... He said the answer was 48. Still get angry that I got that wrong.
His brain did not leap that year.
My English teacher once told me that separating was not a word. That's where you get up and proclaim, well, then, this is me separating myself from your ignorance. Then walk out of the room. I got told discombobulated was not either. I learned it when I was writing pages from the dictionary for being a smartass. In 3rd grade our history teacher started talking about Benjamin Franklin. Basically the usual stuff that everyone knows, but then she says how great of a president he was. Well, I'm in 3rd grade and I know that's not right. I raise my hand and I tell her that Benjamin Franklin was never a president. The class disagrees with me, and so does the teacher, but I hold my ground, and she looks in her book of presidents and sure enough, I'm right. Most satisfying moment of my life.
The teacher was actually willing to admit she was wrong. That at least makes her infinitely superior to most of the teachers in these stories.
The kids in my son's class had to pick a state to do a report on. One of the kids picked Hawaii. The teacher told him he had to pick another one because Hawaii is not a state.
Was your son by any chance doing this project before 1959?
A substitute tried to tell us that 9/11 was the first time America was attacked on our own soil. Good lord ... Stuff like this should be our go to answer when people question why we should bother to learn history.
If George Washington was alive today, I'd regret having defeated Napoleon Dynamite at the Battle of the Alamo.
When my brother was in grade 4, both of his teachers insisted that Mexico was in South America and laughed at him for saying otherwise. When he brought in articles about NAFTA that my mom printed out for him to prove them wrong. They said anyone can say anything on the internet. I had a teacher in 2nd grade tell our class that Texas is the largest state. I proceeded to attempt to correct her by pointing out that Alaska quite a bit larger than Texas. Her only response was, Alaska does not count because it's made of ice. When I was in elementary school, a pet coach insisted that the oxygenated blood was blue. I tried to tell him otherwise. Blood is dark red when it's drawn from a syringe etc. But he did not listen. I ended up asking my doctor, who burst out laughing and said something to the lines of, and that is why he is the pet coach, not your doctor. Not my child, but my father was once told by a high school teacher that the Japanese kamikaze pilots all performed seppuku on themselves right before their planes hit ships in Pearl Harbor. I was born in France. I moved here when I was 8 years old and spoke no English ... I went to a bilingual school for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. You learn pretty quickly at that age. My 5th grade teacher was Latino. Do not remember what country she was from, but definition Spanish as a first language. Heavy accent. We were doing grammar one day and she asked me what part of a speech a certain word was. I said it's a verb. Her response, no, it's a verb. I argued with her that for 2 years had been taught that it's a verb not verb ... She insisted that it was verb and made me say verb the rest of the year. The next year I started middle school at a regular school. Same conversation, new teacher, and I say it's a verb. Of course everyone, including the teacher, laughed at me. I was like, I knew it, silly teacher. My co-worker was told by her son's kindergarten teacher that if she fed him fruit while he had a flu, he'd develop an allergy to the fruit. I nearly pissed myself laughing. My teacher insisted there were 100 meters in a kilometer. Huge argument ensued. I won with my facts. ... Well, there are also 900 more. Pedantry aside, that's got to be infuriating. Had a teacher tell me that a gallon was 64 ounces. I told her it was twice that. A security guard came to the door to drop off mail or something, and she asked him. He said 128 ounces and the teacher ran from the room sobbing, right past the very confused guard. Edit. Same woman told me that Japan is a communist nation.
Japan is an animation nation.
My 6th grade teacher asked the class for an example of an interesting animal. I said piranha. She said no. Fish are not animals. That's when I realized she was a complete idiot. Science teacher told my 7th grader that the phases of the moon were due to the rotation of the moon. When challenged by my daughter, she claimed that the moon looks the same on both sides. Therefore we see the whole moon. One identical side at a time. My daughter is sent home with a note to us, her parents, declaring her impertinent, unruly and a disruption in the classroom, precipitating a parent/teacher/vice principal conference. Said science teacher repeats her position in front of the vice principal that the moon rotates with respect to the earth and is identical on both its hemispheres, hence the phases of the moon as seen from earth. Vice principal asks teacher to repeat, which she does, clearly spelling out the geometry and inevitable consequence of her moon rotation with identical hemispheres theory. Vice principal excuses us parents and our child to wait outside. My daughter facepalming uncontrollably at this point. We wait a few minutes and witness the teacher leave, turning lovely shades of red and purple. The vice principal appears and shared with us that she wished my daughter had chosen a less confrontational mode to expose the woman for the idiot she was. Just how she might have done so was not shared with us. Turns out the science teacher was in reality a home economics instructor pressed into duty as a science teacher to make up for a shortfall of trained science educators in our district. It was then us parents' turn to facepalm. My cousin's teacher asked the class, of very young children, to name colors of apples. She said green. The teacher said, I mean ripe apples. She said, yay, green. My mom buys green apples. And the teacher made her look like an idiot in class. She got home and told her mom about it, and my aunt promptly purchased a Granny Smith apple for each student in the class and came with her to school the next day. When I was in one of the shittest countries in the world, Kyrgyzstan, I was focusing on learning English during my Kyrgyz language class, and the teacher told me to focus on his language because more people spoke that language than English all over the world. To this day, my mother and I laugh about it. My sister's teacher in grade 7 insisted that it was the Leaning Tower of Pizza even after several of the kids told her it was pizza. High school science teacher said Katrina was a twister. I raised my hand and said it was a hurricane. Instead of admitting she made a mistake, she continued to defend her original statement. I continued to explain to the class what the differences were and that in fact Katrina was a hurricane, with a major fact being it was named. We do not go around naming tornadoes, do we? The teacher cried. I was an ass when I was younger, I guess. They cried. How can you teach kids and have such a thin skin? Somewhat on topic. Back when I was in 2nd grade, my parents had just gotten me this awesome messenger bag that had a big sailboat on it. I was super excited and showed my teacher. We needed to have our names somewhere on our backpacks and supplies, usually written on the tags inside, but this bag did not have any tags. So instead my teacher proceeded to write my name with a permanent marker all over the front of my bag. She then wrote a letter to my parents saying my school bag was too small and I needed a larger one. I was extremely sad and my parents pissed off. One of my favorite parts of getting older in school was that they stopped forcing you to have specific supplies. In high school it went from this notebook, freshman, to any notebook, soph, to something to take notes on, junior, to literally whatever. Just do not fail, senior. I still insist that people learn differently. Not all supplies are suited for each kid. And do not even get me started on using those ducking planners they give you.
I am almost positive I lost half of my credit in grades 6-9 because I never filled out my daily graded planner.
Had a substitute teacher that told the class that AIDS would be airborne in the next 3 years. He got mad at me when I said really? Because no it is not. When I was in the 7th grade, my teacher failed me on a report that stated Christopher Columbus did not discover the Americas. He landed in the West Indies and the Caribbean islands. He also was not the first European explorer to eventually visit the Americas. At least one previous explorer, Leif Erikson, preceded him. The teacher stated that I was blatantly making things up to hype my sense of self-importance. I do not believe I had ever been so angry in my life. Son's 3rd grade assignment. Draw your dream house. He got an F because his dream house was unrealistic. He failed another student choice of topic assignment he did on dinosaurs. Because dinosaurs were not real as they were not in the Bible. He got detention when he told her neither were air conditioners. Public school, early 90s in rural Texas. My son was in kindergarten and had an assessment test to determine if he was prepared to continue. I came in afterward for the review. The teachers commented that he did very well, but he missed a question. What's your favorite number? Apparently, he answered infinity and explained clearly why. Yeah, they were looking for a simpler answer like 5. When I told them that in mathematics, it's considered a number, they said it was too high a concept for a child to understand and therefore wrong. How do you get an opinion question wrong? Duck. My junior high science teacher along with my entire class were convinced that while skydiving, when you pull the chute, you actually go up. Like the parachute somehow creates lift. Almost like a bungee cord. I tried to tell them that it just appears that way because the person filming does not pull their chute at the same time and therefore keeps falling at terminal while the parachute's velocity is significantly reduced. Totally felt like I was on crazy pills. The whole class was yelling at me. We had to take it to a high school physics teacher to resolve the argument. If you are reading this, you watched until the end of the video. Smash that like button if you have enjoyed it. Bam. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch more videos. That's about it. There is no more here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? This is not a secret, but subscribe for more videos like this.